Hello, and welcome to Rocket League. I'm the Expert Layman, and today I'm going to be talking about how to reduce the toxicity that you have to experience, and how to spot when people are throwing, because people get good at hiding it, mostly from themselves. And this is in a sort of series I call the Psychology of Toxicity. Let me just make sure that my sound is working properly. Yeah, it appears to be so. Okay, first off, some things you can do to not trigger the ragers. The very first thing is to go into your settings, go into chat. Oops, no. Where is this? Chat, and disable it. Turn it all the way off. Even if you don't think... angry people, like the ragers, even if, you know, they're hiding it well, they really want to see other people angry. And you can't always conceal it. It'll kind of show up in the way you play, even if you don't think it is, in the same way that they don't think they're being toxic. They can draw you into it without realizing it. It's very subtle. So it's best not to interact with it at all or even be aware of it. The other thing is, and here's one of the tricks, a lot of people have their chat turned off. And the toxic people need the feedback. They want to know that you can see the chat before they'll go all out. So that's why it'll happen a lot that someone will be like, seem like they're cooperative. They're saying, oh, nice shot or great pass or whatever. And then like shortly later, they're just missing stuff that bots wouldn't miss and being like, what? What? Oh, I missed. I'm just terrible. It's like, no, your MMR says differently. Why you playing bronze when you have like a diamond MMR, you know? So that is the first and big one. The other thing, remove anything from your car that might make anybody jealous. I thought I didn't have anything that would trigger anyone, but I could not have been more wrong, as I've logged in over 6,000 hours. My level gives me an avatar banner possessed by less than 1,000 people. In fact, there might only be a couple hundred in existence, if that. So as soon as I scored a goal, the tone would change, and I didn't understand why. So I just picked the Batman border. Also, try not to have anything remotely positive in your display name, because that will set them off too. And to be honest, try not... I'm not saying, definitely not saying throw or play under your skill, but if you do anything particularly spectacular, that will often trigger people too. Even if they say nice shot, you'll find the toxicity rising later. The rest of this is, I'm sure there's a couple more things. Hopefully it'll occur to me. Most likely will. Is how there's actually not that many different ways people throw. It typically comes in two forms: the drive-by and the handoff. Now, the drive-by takes, like I said, many forms. Let me check one more time. I'm paranoid. OBS has been acting weird lately. Okay, that seems to be good. The handoff and the drive-by. The drive-by is where they approach the ball, essentially calling it, and then just drive right on by. You'll see this on kickoffs. Not that you can really bail when you spot people like I used to be able to. I think I almost broke rule 1 doing something spectacular. Well, not spectacular, but enough to trigger people. And I just try to, like, mostly just spend my time passing. Because if other people feel like they're doing awesome, they're less likely to throw. I just try to keep putting it in front of the goal. Because even, like, fairly toxic people, They just want someone to suffer. And if you can offer them the other team to dunk on, that's usually good enough. So that was pretty good. The other thing is apparently streaming. Yeah, it was a combination. I've had a much better experience ever since making basically those two changes of not interacting with chat and not having anything on my car or basically the account that would set people off. That might set people off. Very different experience afterwards because I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, why is it every time I stream, I see much less toxicity? And like, is it me? Well, it was me, just not in the way I thought. It was my... When I'm streaming, I would never really interact with chat. I wasn't paying hardly any attention to it. And that was the difference. Like, I didn't want to take that because it looked like he might have had a good shot. Yeah, if you don't confirm to people that you actually have your chat on, you'll have a much better experience. Because they want to know, they want confirmation that they're making you suffer. I mean, obviously some are going to do it no matter what. Oh. But just those two things will make a huge difference, at least in casual. Haven't really tested this in ranked. Well, don't see why it wouldn't also help there. But oh shoot! I wish I could say my bad. That was similar to a thrower maneuver, but I don't think it was. But they can take just about any shot they want, and they seem to gravitate towards the ones that will maximally weaken their teammate's position against the other team. Essentially switching to the other team when it's on, our own end. But as usual, I will not be upset if I don't get examples of throwers, although statistically that seems really unlikely. But yeah, for a while I'm like, what, is there something in the software that detects when someone is streaming and like changes the matchmaker? Oh, there's another thing. Don't play every day. Make sure not to play 2 consecutive days. It does seem that the matchmaker will match up people who play like every day with people who play every day, and people who play more casually with people who play more casually. And the number of people who are here for rage, I imagine, are here a lot more often. Probably every day. That's where they get the rage fix. Also, I can't overstate how much playing with toxic people will, that they inject you with it. You don't even realize it, and I think that's why there's so many people who just over time just become increasingly toxic. Like like the frog on a hot plate, even though it's not really true. Like the analogy is useful enough that if you just turn up the temperature slowly enough, they don't realize the change until they're boiling. I think people will just slowly become more and more that, but they don't see the change because they're playing like every day. So for like those two reasons, like you can, you know, it's like, well, I mean, it's like another any type of toxic exposure, like how long you spend in it, and giving your body time to metabolize it and, you know, heal will benefit you. So very happy, non-toxic game. Of course, I'll kind of blow my theory out of the water if I'm assuming, you know, I am assuming the conspiracy theory that somehow the game can detect when you're streaming and match you with less toxic people. I'm assuming that is a tinfoil hat theory, but I've already implemented the changes of stripping anything from my car profile that's likely to trigger anyone, and I'm also wasn't engaging with chat, so if I still see a significant drop while I'm streaming, I suppose that supports the tinfoil hat theory that the game somehow detects when someone is streaming, because they wouldn't want their game looking, you know, as toxic as it is. And in the hierarchy of garbage things that Epic has done, this wouldn't even rate. Oh, well, that was unfortunate. I'm feeling a little thrower action. They keep kind of popping it up in front of their own goal. Yeah. The backflip. The backflip that seemed... There's been like 3 of them. He's gonna center... See? Yeah. Like, he didn't have to do that. I'm sure he's telling himself that he's just trying to do something cool, and it just almost never works out. Well, if they... Just notice how, like, every time they have a shot at the ball, it seems, you know, all their 50-50s are like 90-10s as far as how things turn out. And like they're just, and the tendency of just trying to get to touch it and then get past the ball. Well, apparently, I mean, both sides are doing it right now. It's like a throw off. I don't have enough examples to really be sure which of my teammates might be worse, but I might be the only non-thrower in the game. We'll find out. Yeah, he like hit the brakes instead of going for it. And he apparently went through and wiped out both of them. Oh, pop it up and then pop and bail. That was pretty good. Of course, then he just turns back and doesn't even follow it up. It's not like it was a pass. Okay. Guess he didn't want me to center it. I mean, it's almost easier to look at it as they're like bipolar, and they'll keep switching teams. Yeah. Yeah, pretty blatant. But since both sides are doing it, it kind of just seems like everybody's terrible, but they're not terrible. We're in, like, platinum... I don't have an add-on right now to show me the MMR, but... We're in, like, platinum diamond range. Yeah, drive by. Oh, he didn't pop it up in front of the goal. How about that? He wasn't even aiming at the ball. He was aiming at me. That's okay. See, there's like a level of aggression with your teammates where you're trying to beat them to the ball, but you both are trying to win. But then there's like a tipping point where they're like, screw this guy, he deserves to lose. Yeah, back at your own goal. I don't think that was a teammate, I think it was the other team. And keep in mind, I am on 3 screens, and you're only seeing my center screen, so I'm seeing a lot of what's going on. That isn't showing up in stream, but if I did the 16... If I were to display the game in 16:3, which is what I'm playing it in, it would just be this, like... a ribbon going across the middle and the top and bottom third. There'd be, like, nothing, and that's not a good stream. Wow. And pass to the other team. Pass to the other team. Like I said, it's almost easier to look at it as their internal rage builds up, and then they basically just switch teams. But it doesn't last. And no challenge, shot straight at the goal, and he manages to put it off to the side. And that guy basically handed it to me. That's the hardest part to see, is when people on the other team are throwing and you're benefiting from it, because you don't want to believe you didn't earn your shit. You want to, you want to believe I'm just awesome. That's what. Okay, well, that's a fairly good throw maneuver. I thought I could get more of the ball, and they didn't end up scoring. Okay, no. Can you report yourself? No. Gotta be honest. Yeah, I couldn't really tell. I don't know. It's a new skill I'm trying to develop. Would be a basic skill to other people, is to keep track of who's doing what. If like there's one on PlayStation and one on PC. Let me grab a new set of people here. It's easier for me to keep track of, but if it's just like a random string of characters, it's hard for me to keep track of who's doing what. Oh, hi, Psych and Stats Tutor. I'm not sure what to expect here, but your Psych-related title enticed me for sure. I don't know, I'm fascinated by, like, unconscious aggression as a autistic person who's come farther than a reasonable person would believe. I kind of had to figure a lot of this out consciously, which gives me a little more conscious access to stuff that most people just process unconsciously. But like I was saying, just a lot of, and this is true. It's like kind of the same reason you don't make eye contact with the crazy person on the bus is the same reason you might want to turn chat off and not wear your vintage Air Jordans. You know, for most healthy people, it really wouldn't matter at all. But when you're in a bad part of town, which Rocket League kind of is, you probably don't want to be drawing attention to yourself or standing out. Oh, that was bad. I'm also not that good of a player. I'm just good at predicting what people are going to do. And my models for predicting, you know, what people are going to do got better and better. There were all these anomalies of like, why did he do that? Why did he do that? And kind of the model emerged. Oh, man. I was reading your chat when I should have been kicking off. I gotta stop doing the things that I criticize others for, otherwise I just should kill the stream. That's what I've heard, you know, I heard something recently that was really weird, you know, where someone was having like an online debate with somebody else, and one accused the other person of just like being angry and upset and stuff, and like asking if they're autistic. And it's like, wait, is there an idea that autistic people are like more aggressive and angry? And I think the difference, and autism isn't like a thing in the same way cancer isn't a thing. That's kind of a category of ways things can go wrong. Oh, I did not have the boost for that. No ball for you. And neurotypical people, you know, that are well adapted, to adapt to different social environments. They won't experience the aggression of others in the same way as an autistic person, because like that's processed unconsciously. So like minor aggressions, like many autistic people will feel that a lot more strongly, like when others wouldn't. And then you kind of have to develop a way of disciplining yourselves. That's why like autistic people seem like they will have a disproportionate reaction to something that's doesn't seem like it would warrant that response, but they think that they're, you know, and I'll say I used to, you know, think that, well, that seemed proportional because what they did was just so aggressive. I'm just trying to match the tone, but what you didn't realize is everybody else is part of this social, what would you call it? They're in a social reality where that thing, they're experiencing that thing differently than you. Oh my god. I wish I could say my bad, but I got the chat turned off. Oh no, too many chats. I'll take a break after this match, and I'm not accustomed to actually getting chats. I usually do my streams at like 3 in the morning. Because doing streams is freaking terrifying. It's getting easier, but part of like just getting used to doing it was doing it when nobody was watching. He didn't go for it. I'm kind of surprised. Oh, that was not good. That was mostly my bad. Oh, you could say I'm a self-observation enthusiast. This is a question from Gen Xiel. Like I said, after this match, I'll read each of those and respond. It's like, I worry about people like, oh my god. Multitasking. Not always great at it. Yeah, look at me. I'm contributing. Now, I feel really bad because these guys would probably be winning if I wasn't distracted. I feel a little bit better. It's like I finally get, like, non-toxic teammates, and, well, I guess that makes me the toxic one. Gotta love the high bounce. Oh, sorry, dude. Almost wish I didn't have chat turned off. I'd love to compliment him. Well, first you have to, you know... Okay, I'll get out of this. Yeah, second stats tutor. Cool, I'm Audi 2. Gonna relate to a degree. I kept a log of actions, reactions to learn to navigate social life. Yeah, you kind of have to do it like Jane Goodall studying the apes. You kind of have to sit back, try not to draw the ire of anyone, and just kind of observe and like, oh, okay. You can be a lot more objective when you're not actually involved. Methods for self-inspection. Well, if you're going to look at yourself, you also need to cut yourself slack, because you're going to find a lot of crap. Anybody who takes a good look at themselves is going to find like a lot of crap, and you got to find a way to not necessarily forgive yourself, but suspend judgment of yourself so you can be more objective. Be like, okay, can't find a good example. But at least you're trying, you know, at least you're trying to do something. Maybe you can't fix a thing that you just discovered you're doing, but maybe you can do better about something else and temporarily suspend judgment of yourself. Nothing really organized. It's actually, I've been at this for, let's just say it took me about 38 years to catch up to the average person's social skills, and that was around the time podcasts and streaming were becoming a thing. And I figured I'd hit some diminished returns, but instead it's kind of sped up. I'm not sure if I can condense this. Yeah, people are, and if you can get outside of it, you can watch people just like being total jerks to each other, but act like they're not being jerks to each other. And be like, dude, that guy just totally did a dick move to this guy, and this other guy just did a dick move back to him. But they're both acting like nothing happened. And in their experience, nothing did. Because they're kind of inside the bubble. And I'm not saying they're the crazy ones, but like, you're going to have the experience that they're the crazy ones. Nowadays, most people, it's like they're walking around wearing sandwich boards explaining what their deal is. Like, if you can just observe long enough, and there are a lot of books that will really help. Jonathan Haidt has a book called The Righteous Mind, where he uses the elephant and rider analogy to explain kind of like the elephant is your unconscious, kind of primal emotional side, and your rider is kind of your logical, intellectual side, and the elephant, you know, is making the vast majority of her decisions, but the rider likes to believe that he's making all the calls. And kind of understanding that split in people really helps. Genexiel is talking about, I've been forcing myself to do 1 hour per week, and it's been getting much easier, more comfortable. Yeah, like dude, it was like when I first started doing these, it was like 2 years ago. It's like, it was like walking up to the Walking up to a cheerleader around her friends like you're going to ask her to the prom. Like every time I'm starting the stream, my heart's pounding. I'm like, I don't think I should. And sometimes I would bail, but I just kind of go into almost like a dissociative state. One thing I found to help me get them going is just do a lot of prep work, because that's procrastination, but it's also investment. And at some point you're like, I put all this work into it. It's so silly not to do it. Identify, patch and stats tutor, identify what doesn't serve anymore. I think I missed some context there. Yeah, there's a game. You play the game. Like there's some people, like, here's an example. I had well, he wasn't really supervisor. He's actually above that. But the guy was just a freaking jerk, like, all the time. And I decided to do a different strategy. Now I'm in a union, so I can get away with stuff that a lot of people in normal jobs can't. But I just did an experiment where I was just a dick to him in every way I could get away with at every opportunity. He started liking me. He really started liking me. He would, like, say hi to me when he passed in the halls and, like, wave at me from across the production floor. It actually got a little bit creepy. But what I understand now is that he probably came from, like, a much more aggressive family, and he just can't take people seriously if they don't stand up for themselves. And him being a jerk is a way of feeling other people out to see if they're, like, people that he can take seriously. I do consume a lot of books, but I don't absorb the vast majority of it. Like, if it's... I'm not good at recalling names, places, dates, you know, like what I call social reality stuff, but like concepts and interactions between systems. That's the stuff that I remember from books. I should put together a book list. I have a job where I can listen to whatever I want to while I'm working, and I pretty much just tear through books. The Genexial. Worrying about not having all ducks in a row before hitting go live. Half the time I started muted, but it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I'm also kind of, I have some OCD and neuroticism, which I found ways to monetize. Like in World of Warcraft, my farming spots have more to do with me being able to just keep tweaking around with stuff and improving it slightly. And people are like, how can you spend hours up there doing that? It's like, well, I'd be spending hours doing some kind of repetitive activity. This one makes me gold. So I'm going to pop into another game, unless there was another question here. It is actually really weird to have an active chat. It's kind of freaking me out, to be honest. Thank you both for joining me. Okay, well, thanks for stopping by, Psych and Stats Tutor. Oh, shoot. Hold on a second. I would say the trick is detachment, but that's not like a choice. Detachment comes from when you understand why a person is doing something, their aggression just doesn't hit as hard. Like, when you realize, oh, this person's just really insecure, and they're in a bad relationship, and they don't have many places to vent, and this is a safe spot, and you seem like a soft target, and that's why they're doing it. But it's really just really sad that this is how they have to balance their shit, is at the expense of other people. And it's really hard to be upset by someone you pity. It's kind of like getting in an argument with a toddler, you know, like, you know. It's probably not if it's your kid, it's different. But if it's somebody else's kid and you're like getting ragey with like a toddler, it's not about the toddler. And in essence, although it's not 100% true, it's mostly true that you can't really get angry at someone else without some of that being your own anger at yourself. And that's why when people display qualities that you really don't like about yourself, you'll have like a disproportionate reaction to the behavior. In real life, in Rocket League, people basically become blind to their own toxicity if, because to acknowledge that somebody else is doing it is to acknowledge that you're doing it, and that needs to stay buried. I think I've actually seen this Stank 950 guy before, and he was pretty toxic, if I remember right. Oh, I suck. Maybe not. Might have been something new. No, you don't. You can't just say to someone, be more detached, you have to find a way to be happier with yourself. But also understanding, and everything you learn, every crappy thing you realize other people are doing, you'll realize you're also doing, at least to some degree. And that, I think, keeps a lot of people from progressing, is that it's kind of like the acknowledgement that they're doing the thing too, even if to a lesser degree, is too uncomfortable to confront. So they don't want to explore why someone else is doing something. Oops. To be honest, haven't really seen much. Although Soprano seems to be doing just kind of like, I call it the driving Miss Daisy, where they're just kind of driving around, not really boosting, not really trying to get to the ball, just kind of looking like, trying to make a show of like being active, but not really actually going for anything. Of course, I could be wrong. I'm just trying to get back on defense. I'm gonna go up. He is not. Neither of them are. Because to go... See, that's not necessarily throw it. It depends on where you put the line at. Instead of like going into the goal and trying to defend, he goes out in front. But that could just be... I don't care if they score, I just want to be able to get points for myself. And it's at that fuzzy boundary between playing selfishly and actively sabotaging. Oh, there's a distinction I want to make. I want to split deliberate into two categories. Consciously deliberate and unconsciously deliberate. You'd think, well, wait, unconscious means not deliberate, but when you see tons of people doing the same exact behavior, and some of them are aware they're doing it and others are not, but it's the same thing, the distinction is how well someone is, how skilled someone is at self-delusion. In the elephant and rider analogy, when people get really screwed up, the elephant's like basically running the show because they're like all emotion, and all the rider is doing is acting like a press secretary or a publicist, just trying to smooth over all the crap the elephant's doing, like basically following it through the china shop, being like, oh, sorry, he's having a bad day, he's got a thorn in his foot or whatever, like, it's the narrative. But if you can build a good working relationship with your elephant, basically earn its trust, it'll let you make more calls. And it's you might call it non-overlapping magisteria, where there's some things that the elephant is just better at, like appreciating art or storytelling. Just like the human condition experience stuff. That is mostly elephant territory. About feelings and meaning. But when you're trying to, like, rationally or logically, understand something in a more detached fashion, that's more rider. I'm gonna be honest, I got freaked out by actually having an active chat. Even if it didn't last very long. That was weird. Probably has to do with one of my older videos, a rager fight in Reddit spilled over onto one of my videos. I probably shouldn't address it. But actually, I've gotten through what I really wanted to talk about. I had a couple awesome chatters. Agabadita. And I am actually going to call it. Is there anything else? Yeah, I didn't really get good examples, but like, I guess the rule of thumb is if they're underperforming a bot, if they're missing stuff that a bronze wouldn't miss, if the accidents all go in the same direction, like I said, if they're 50-50s or basically 90-10 as far as outcome, they're probably throwing. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me on this wonderful Thanksgiving. I am the Expert Layman. You all have a great day.